Sheesh. The way my luck's been going, this will probably be my next apartment. What's this? It's a crate, with Thomas Malloy's name stenciled right on the side. I'll need to move it out of that tight corner before I can open it. More barrels of toxic waste. I guess it's cheaper to store it than dispose of it.
Arr, well, shiver me timbers. It's a pirate's chest.
Sword looks pretty sharp. It's probably the reason for the peg leg. That's a nasty hook. You can put an eye out with that thing.
Well, blow me down. It's a Lucky Pierre signature souvenir pirate hat. Arr, a peg leg.
I hope all the prosthetic devices didn't belong to the same pirate. This panel must operate the crane. The slots on the trolley are lined up with the ring on top of Malloy's crate. Now I just need to find something to connect them with. That ought to do the trick. Looks like something fell out of Malloy's crate. What's this? It's a crate, with Thomas Malloy's name stenciled right on the side. Plains of Nazca. I don't see any airplanes. Set of encyclopedias. They look heavy.
So, a Chelsea left town, eh? Well, I was wondering how long it'd take before you drive her out of the state.
Yeah, She had to leave so she could cool down. Being around me was making her way too hot.
Keep dreaming, Murphy. Dreams are healthy. So what are you here for?
As a matter of fact, I just received a large number of reference books from an estate. If I'm not mistaken, one of the books was titled Yucatec Made Easy. You can buy it if you'd like, $30.
Well, I hope my new purchase will help me out.
I read about the Black Arrow Killer in the newspaper, but why are you asking me about him? He was arrested in Nevada some time ago. I remember Lucia Purnell. Quite a strong-willed young woman. She works for the Bay City Mirror and came to interview me right after my shop was broken into. I have her business card here if you want to contact her. That imbecile! He's been trying to make problems for Louis. He doesn't eat meat and thinks anyone who does is a barbarian. Moron. The Mirror is a fine publication. I try to save my copies so they can be recycled. Then the bums come while I'm sleeping and steal them, probably using them for blankets. How should I know who that is? Well, if it wasn't for me, he'd still be camping out in the dumpster. I told him I was going to charge him rent, and he moved up to Coit Tower. Well, I don't know where he got the money to open his chocolate stand. He probably stole it. Nilo's run the Ritz for years. He's a pig. But at least he pays cash when he buys something from me. He took over the electronics shop after the fat man left. It seems pleasant enough. Louis's a good man. He seems to like you quite a bit. I can't figure out for the life of me why. Oh, Chelsea. If I were a younger man, you wouldn't have a chance with her. I'll admit you have some skills as a PI. It's your social skills that need desperate help.
This is a private number.
Yeah, I know. This is Lucia Purnell, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm Purnell. Who are you?
My name's Murphy. I'm a PI, and I'm investigating a case you covered in the Bay City Mirror. The Black Arrow Killer.
Yeah? So are 1,000 other people. What makes you so special?
I've got a note that might be from the Black Arrow Killer.
Okay, let's meet. I can tell you whether it's the real thing or not.
Where should we meet? I prefer a place with good ambiance, but not too pricey.
I hope you don't mind, but I've been tracing your call. I know the area, and if it's okay with you, we'll meet at the Brew and Stew in 15 minutes. By the way, what did you say your name was?
Tex Murphy. That's T-E-X.
I got it.
Well, I hope I didn't take you away from anything important.
Nah, just a fight with my editor. Can't even remember what we argued about.
Well, don't worry, because I'm not here to start a fight.
Truth is, I piss people off, usually the wrong people.
Well, at least we got that in common.
Good. Now, you said you had a note?
Yeah.
Where'd you get this?
I got it from a client.
Your client's in danger, Murphy. How much do you know about the Black Arrow Killer?
Killed a few people in the Southwest a couple of years ago, and then a girl around here got killed recently.
You know, Malden might know more than he's letting on. Then again, he might not. Of course, if he did, I doubt he'd tell you. He's not that stupid.
I'm not so sure about that. Look, why don't you fill me in on a few details, and then I can be certain.
It's a long story.
Come on over to the booth and humor me.
You're slightly above average, aren't you?
Yeah, and many things.
Well, we'll just have to cut you down to size, won't we? When the first bodies turned up in Arizona in the summer of '41, the local police tried to keep the story off the wires. They didn't want the bad publicity. It wasn't until March of '42, when 3 other victims were found, that the story really broke big. Turned out the killer in all 5 cases had the same M.O. He sent notes to his victims before murdering them. I had a chance to see one of those notes. It was exactly like this one.
Had the black arrow, all that?
Right, and the block lettering, same words, everything. You probably know cases like this can spawn copycat murders. For that reason, the police didn't release copies of the notes to the media.
Well, so they could differentiate between the copycat killer and the real killer.
Exactly. Anyway, the Black Arrow Killer racked up 2 more victims in Nevada before the police finally caught up with him. At that point, the FBI moved in and media coverage evaporated. The name of the guy they arrested was Leroy Kettler. The night they booked him, he hung himself in his cell with a shoelace. Funny thing is, he was wearing cowboy boots.
Now that's a little hard to explain.
After things cooled off, I went down there and interviewed a few people, including an inmate who told me that 2 men in suits went to Kettler's cell the night before he hung himself. I'm pretty sure they were NSA.
NSA? What would the National Surveillance Agency be doing messing around with a serial killing case? More than that, why would they kill Kettler?
Maybe he was a fall guy. Or maybe Kettler really was the serial killer and the feds just didn't want the case resolved. Regardless, there was a cover-up.
Mac Malden said there was another case around here. How does that tie in?
It doesn't. The girl was a grad student at San Francisco Tech. There was no indication that she was receiving threatening notes, and there was nothing out of the ordinary before she was murdered. Oddly enough, the police found a note in her room. At that point, the feds moved in and took over.
That girl, what was her name?
Collins. Sandra Collins. You know something I ought to know?
I'm not sure.
Now, there's no chance that you can give me the name of your client?
You know I can't do that. But I'll tell you what. If I find out who's stalking my client, you're gonna get a scoop out of this.
That's a fair deal. By the way, have you heard of a place called Autotech?
Don't think so.
Might be worth checking into. Oh, and Murphy, one more thing. When I was following this story in Nevada, I met a guy just like you, a PI. He asked a lot of questions, too. A week later, he had a tag on his toe. Suicide, I think.
Purnell certainly gave me a lot to think about. What's the common denominator between Fitzpatrick, Malloy, Kettler, and this young woman, Sandra Collins? Too few details, too many implications. The bottom line is, whoever sent the note to Emily's for real, and she's in danger. Purnell mentioned a place called Autotech. Maybe that's a place to start. Somebody just jumped off the water tower on the roof of Rusty's funhouse. Dressed all in black. Maybe Emily wasn't just imagining that someone was watching her. Somebody left their coat here. It sure doesn't look like it's been here very long. I wonder if this jacket could have been left by that shadowy figure I saw up here earlier. Let's see what's in the pockets. A cufflink and torn pieces of a photograph. Looks like the exterior of Autotech, whatever that is. Well, Purnell seemed to think it was important. If I can examine this picture more closely, maybe I can find something that will help me figure out where this place is. Looks like Autotech is located at 144 Barcelona. If I'm not mistaken, that's down in the industrial sector. DH. Probably the monogram of the person I'm trying to find.
Hey, guess what I found out? I got a source that told me Leroy Kettler signed a confession before he supposedly killed himself, only now it's like the confession never happened. No paperwork, no nothing.
So Kettler was the real Black Arrow killer?
Looks that way. Maybe the NSA found it useful for people to think that the killer's still on the loose. So why'd you call?
Yeah, I just needed to ask you a few questions.
Don't know anything about it. There's nothing I'd like more than to light a fire under the National Surveillance Agency. It's like they say, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Autotech. Gee, that sounds familiar. Wish I could help you with it. That's not in my area. Walden's like a bulldog. Stupid, but persistent. He's a pretty good contact. Are you gonna ask me about every person you ever heard of? I can't help you, but I'll check my sources. I like working for the Mirror. It's small but respectable. Plus, they let me do what I want.